Yeah, later, read The Death of Mozart, 1990, December, JSM. Page 813 looks through forensic sciences. The last person to speak for the dead is the forensic pathologist on the death of Mozart. The forensic task is to search for the truth condition at the time of his death. With the help of the day, it turns out to play a unique role in bringing out the truth. Now, our forensic team has established that Mozart's skull, owned by the museum, is Salzburg, shows unmistakable individual characteristics comparable to those fingerprints that give evidence for the identity of the skull.
Cujo coração é inspecionado, mas isolam o lugar que Isole pode ser.
I am sorry.
Cujo coração é inspecionado, mas isolam o lugar que Isole pode ser.
How do I pretend to play the piano? You can only insult me by telling me, try sitting at it, and try it forever. Maybe one or two of you have had the experience this Christmas, or last Easter, when you were expecting to get a good one. And unless it was your birthday, and very little followed. And so, here you are listening to the meteor. There's little rhyme or reason to what anyone will ask is essentially pathos, which is due, if you like, to some kind of hindsight in being able to recognize the future from the events of the past. Miss War is no exception to the fact that one day she went to meet her employer, and the employer said to her to be seated, and she asked him what he could do for her, and he said he didn't know what she meant. And she explained that she hadn't had a rise for quite a long time, that she'd seen on paper, but she was going to be something interdependent, and the house that she wanted to buy on the plan. So he said, well, you have done well, Miss, and asked what was her name. She said, what? He said, no. He said, what was your name? She said, yes, I was given what? He said, shouldn't it be what? What? So, coming out of as it were, the old days, didn't they? When you could think of a proper name for a piano other than the ya-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha, ya-ha-ha-ha. In the old days when you could think of a proper name for a piano before the Japanese invaded, as it were, Pearl Harbor, you would understand the difference between pathos and supremacy of hindsight. If you like, it's as simple as this. Somebody tells you you are going to get a ride, and the other person tells you you already had it. Who is you to believe? Who is you to believe? So you say to me, oh, shouldn't you be saying, who are you to believe? Oh yes, well I wouldn't believe you for a start, would I? But anyway, you have not got a raise, and you have been told that you already had one. And this brings me to the story of a budding piano player who was in fact in giving up the purpose of, shall we say, musical patronage, such as, for instance, you hear the story about them going to Vienna to deliver a piano called a Broadwood Grand to Ludwig van Beethoven. And if you have heard of that story somewhere around 1816 or 1817, perhaps you had already finished tea by then, or by 1845 you were thinking of seeking out the French resistance, but found in fact that you were in fact settled with Emperor Napoleon III, and that you would have to stomach the possibility that this young lady, who, shall we say, remains nameless by the name of Watt, which is not spelled W-H-A-T as it's viewer, it is spelled W-A-T-T. So she changes her name in the hope that she will see a raise in her employer, and she becomes a Naomi who was in fact not a kind-hearted, ambidextrous, budding entrepreneur of commercial inventiveness that produces, shall we say, melodies such as Beyond Green Sleeves. Let us take, for instance, the shores that were once featured in those shores of the escaped convicts. Let us call them convicts, as they were viewed, in fact, weren't they, by Oliver Cromwell, in the name of the King of England. What made King Charles I less of a convict? I have just wondered about this very recently. So, Naomi Henry had wishes therefore to give it up, not to see any more raises, and instead of getting a good tune on sight, to come to the stage where she would be invited to become the Prime Minister. There were going to be two problems with this. She said, well, I haven't had very much power for a long time, and overheard speaking to herself, a voice said, well, aren't you happy with the power you've got? You are like some sort of a queen that is so powerful. You cannot spend it all at once. For in fact, that power would be so equivocatingly powerful, let's say, that it had more nuclear effect and it had commercial tolerance to green leaves or red crescent. But Naomi was giving it up, and she was expecting to become prime. So I said, what makes you think you want to even change that career you had? And you realized you didn't get a ride, or at least you didn't see the one she thought she was going to get. She said, I have this power which is given me occasionally by people that I don't know who they are, and that power is misplaced. She said, this voice said, you realize that you're in the right place if you're getting the right path. Know that I want it all of the time. So this voice said, you will be as your wish is intended, and let that wish we shall be called God. And God was made manifest in the voice, and the voice went away. Unbeknownst to Naomi on PM or MP, Isole was their name, was a delinquent who was mentally deranged to the extent that they had no power. They had not any credibility or even hardly being there. That Isole, people would pass by and pay no attention. One day it came upon the voice, say to the Isole, thee Isole, thee know thee better as thyself than expectant in the lives and marches of great generals. Submarine commanders, nuclear Japanese scientists, or even a Naomi on them. That I will make thee Isole, powerful. Isole says, but I have had no power, so why should I expect that your predictions will be, by any hindsight, come true? And the voice says, I don't have to tell you, it will happen. And the voice again goes away. From time to time it came to pass to a man on what occasion given that power which she claimed and which she misread and misspent, because she never knew how brief its encounter. And until one day she had no signs of any power at all, and eventually a name on that effectively makes the voice act quickly before this expecting power leader, who, let us call her not any prime minister, let us call her a General Lightfoot. A General Lightfoot was in fact not going to be given any power at all. Why? Because it's actually incredible that such a general would walk with such a gift. That Isole one day was granted the power that they needed to they never claimed because they had given up ever accepting. And that power, they said, through the voice. Isole met the voice and said, why have you given me this power? This is absolutely stunning. And the voice said, I have given you this power to prove that the weakest shall be strong, and the strongest can no longer expect to be what they expect without the power of invention. And the isolate, you have a power of invention now that has stunned you alive, that I have sent your power towards a God, and the isolate shall be a disciple. And the isolate, that says a little of the voice, for the voice also went as much as we never heard from a man, or any part of matters, or even green sleeves, or even red crescent, or pianos given through Ludwig Grand Beethoven to Vienna in the hope that the Aschenberg Empire would eventually be greater. Because as you know here, by 1930, the Aschenberg Empire was effectively finished. Isolate, so appreciative of the power that was given her, made nature of the fact that she would never tell anyone that that power had been granted, because she knew in her heart that if she said that it's been granted to produce the effect and to contact a God, no one would ever believe it. One day, the voice decided that the way that the power had been granted to our friend Isole could never be in fact established in any truth. It would in fact have to be hidden in some sort of argument as to why the voice should even consider doing it. That nobody ever found the voice. As much as no one ever found the name of a piano that was ever created by a genius. And nobody ever paid for it. Except perhaps in one sense, a Naomi or an MP or reasonable defender of a realm, or defender of dictatorship, or of a democracy. How would you view the pre-Reformation of the state of the governor of an island which would in fact never be equated to its true Englishness any more than her neighbouring dynasty of King George I had any pathos to the Angles and the Saxons who came to these islands after the time of Christ. That it would in fact bother no one that they had not found the piano that they ever even admit to even suited, or the greatest performer of it. That leads to the question, therefore, as to how the voice knew how to give the power to Isole. But more lies the question of where is the foundation of true power. And that is never answered to us in the word consumerism. It is indicated as a fault of it, because consumerism is a pre-designed obsolescence, which in fact suggests that all the finest inventions are to be had and bought. That it came one day to the voice to tell the power what they thought of it, because they had been able to use that power to empower, isolate, and create the genius which was producing a God. And that God, which hitherto admittedly had been nameless. And the voice said to the power, if thee knows from whence we came, thou still would be able to do as genius so little with it that you would never have any inkling of ever so much more of it than you already possess. So you needn't look for a piano, you needn't look for a musician. You can rest knowing that you are the power, but you are not the judge as to how to use it. You are not the genius, neither the genius, the wordsmith, neither Miss Watt, who never saw a rise in her employer as she was expecting. Never got one until she became like a president. That unequivocally became so unresponsive to the fact that she never received the power she was expecting. For the voice had made great once isolated, once weak. A true friend, being one who expressed one, no connection, no nothing, by the name of Isole. That the story might be called by the name that Miss Watt was going to visit. Miss Watt and the story of Isole and a God. Couldn't be that, couldn't you? Because she had no inkling that the power one day would stop. And Isole had no idea where the power power was being used. And the power had no power to know how Isole was in fact being used. For that power, the power was giving Isole, or bequeathing to it. And the voice knew that all that was bad was, in the name of writing, in the name of the insanity of just wanting to do it for the love of it, was going to be diminished by the quest to only be able to do it for the money. That eventually that employeeship was relinquished for the job of becoming a prime minister of things which really were not in everyone's understanding. But a God was born, and the nature of that God could not be made known. The nature of that God was 13 times more powerful than an amion. And the story became called by Miss Watts, literary agent, who the voice knew as the misdemeanor of Naomi on name. Honorable Escape L. And the power said to the voice, "Voice, where are you? I have seen a story about the power given beyond a Naomi on a Skittles. What does it mean?" And the voice says, "You need only understand that this is the power of Skittles. And that is why it is called the power of Naomi on a Skittles. And S is the beginning of the name of the secret tenet. I thank you for listening. Bye now.
And I came to the